You can say what you want, but I never been scared. Never been scared. Never been scared.
Welcome to the More Than Sports Podcast, where everyone has a story. On today's episode, I speak with Mario Lewis. Mario is a 1999 graduate of Southwood High School in Shreveport, Louisiana. Mario started playing basketball at a young age as he was influenced by his two older uncles who played at Southwood in the late 80s and early 90s. Mario also had the opportunity to watch the game being played at a high level at an early age. Soon Mario would start playing AAU and eventually would follow in his uncle's footsteps and put on the orange and blue at Southwood. After Southwood, Mario spent some time at General Electric before he decided to join the Army and become a Paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne Division. After completing his commitment with the Army, Mario noticed that he needed to make some lifestyle changes after some noticeable medical issues. So Mario decided to make a lifestyle shift of exercise and healthy living. So much so that if you stop by the Good Nutrition Club on 2338B Summer Grove Drive in Shreveport, Louisiana, you'll even find a T-bomb named after him called the Super Mario. We've got a lot to cover on today's episode. Thanks for joining. Now let's start the conversation. All right, welcome to the More Than Sports Podcast. I'm here with Southwood's finest, or should I say the Meadow's finest, Mario Lewis, man. Welcome to the podcast. How you doing?
Oh man, glad to be here, brother, man. Ready to get this on the road, man. I think I'm the first to represent for the basketball side or the basketball team. So ready to get it started, man.
Yes, you are, and that's not from lack of trying. So, basketball brothers, hit me up. You know, I've been reaching out to several of y'all, so I'm gonna solicit Mario to help me. So
Hey.
we can get some folks on, man. Get some side of the basketball team story.
Oh yeah, man, most definitely. I'll reach out to some people, man. See if we can get them on here.
Right. All right. Well, let's jump into it, man. So, tell us, man, what is your relationship with sports today?
Man, you know, man, grew up playing. First, my first sport I actually played was football, and then I kind of transitioned into basketball, man. So uh, I've always had a love for both. Obviously, I had a decision to make uh, in my sports career, and I leaned towards basketball as I got older. Um, I still play, not as much as I would like, but I still play the game. Still got a love for the game. Um, I have a
Okay.
son now. Oh, go ahead.
You get a good run somewhere in Shreveport.
Yeah,
Where
oh
they
yeah,
running
yeah,
at?
yeah. Well, yeah, you still got some places, I try to uh I guess watch where I go, because I am up in age now. So it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of
Okay.
stuff that I don't tolerate. These young kids, man, they so disrespectful, man. So I like to play with people around my age or close to my age. Some people out there that's just doing it for uh to a workout and stuff like that. I don't have anything to prove anymore, so I'm not out there trying to embarrass nobody or give somebody 15 and we go on to 15. So yeah, yeah. But there's
Yeah.
still places to play.
Okay. Nah, that I didn't know. Are they still running at the spars like the airport parks and Southern Hills
Um,
or?
if they do, like I said, it's the younger crowd.
Okay.
Um, I got a buddy of mine that he opens up a gym over on Uri Drive. Uh, we were talking earlier about the Western Hills Church on Pines Road. Kind of, we have some guys that that I play ball with and things. They play over there. Um, so that's probably where I normally will go. I also have a guy that I used to work with. He opens up Bossier high school gym, and he'll call me every now and then, like, "Hey man, we opening up the gym if you want to come and get some runs." And so I'll go play with them. So, like I say, I go play anywhere. That's what
Mhm.
That's what I'm used to. That's how I was raised. We went all over the city and played. I just ain't for the foolishness. So
Right, and like you say, you're not out there with somebody doing 100 dribbles before they shoot.
is exactly, yeah, and one mixtapes.
Right, because somebody's gonna be out there with the camera phone. So,
Yeah, yeah, you're not finna hot sauce me.
so you mentioned you kind of had a love for football and basketball, and then you kind of leaned towards basketball. So like when you were playing football, like were you just kind of playing in the neighborhood, or how did that get started?
Yeah, we of course we started playing sandlot ball, and I was always athletic. Um, just I come from an athletic family on my mom's side and my dad's side. So, but it started playing sandlot, and then I went to Turner uh, for elementary, and we had a football team, and I started playing through the spar. Um, I started playing football. So yeah.
Okay, so you played there in the sixth grade, seventh grade, or how
No,
did
this
you
would this would be I guess Pop Warner.
Pop Warner? Okay,
Yeah. So
right.
um third grade, fourth grade, fifth grade. Um yeah,
So
I was
what
playing.
position were you playing? Do you remember offhand?
Safety and linebacker, man. I like to hit. I
Okay.
like to hit. So yeah, I was playing safety and linebacker. Depending on what set we were in and things of that nature. So yeah.
Okay. All right. So you kind of play that, um, and then you were you playing basketball in the sport also, or
Yeah, I played basketball. I played basketball in the spar, and what happened was I had two uncles that I was really close to. Um, they matter of fact, they're the reason why I went to Southwood. But they were one was 7 years older than me, and the other one was 6 years older than me, and one was a beast in football, and the other one was a beast in basketball. So I kind of you know I grew up idolizing them,
right?
and so I did both. But then by the time I got to middle school, I started. I don't know why I started. Well, I do. Um, my uncle that played basketball at this time when I got to middle school, he was at South. They both were at Southwood, and this was like the early '90s. So this was like around the time when Paul Marshall was there.
Hmm.
And Southwood had a really good basketball team, and I was there for the games, when they were packing it out.
Wow.
Um,
Okay.
but yeah, to see that, man, I'm talking about you. Uh, you see Coach K, you know, at a Southwood basketball game.
Right. Right.
Coaches coming to Southwood to see Paul. But that whole era,
Hmm.
the team was good.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and man, my uncle Steve, man, he was a beast at basketball, and me and him, I went everywhere with him throughout the neighborhood and going up to Apple Park because we grew up in the Moortown Forest Oak area. So whenever he was at Apple Park playing, I was always there. So I kind of started gravitating to basketball around middle school. So
Right. Well, no, and no, that's good insight, man. Because to be at that age, be at a packed basketball arena, it's like a different feel, man. Obviously, I think we've all been in a packed basketball arenas, packed football arenas. Like, but basketball is so confined that the crowd gets so crazy, like the whole place starts to shake. So it's a totally different feel than like being at a football stadium and the crowd is packed.
oh
Obviously
oh
they're
yeah
gonna be loud, they're gonna be crazy, but in that confined arena, like it's a totally different situation, man. So seeing that at a young age and seeing that crowd act the way they probably were, man, I could see how you could absolutely like be like, all right, this is what I want to do.
Man, yeah, and like I said, you know, their games, depending on who they were playing, was standing room only. You know, you couldn't. I mean, you had people out in the foyer, you know, where the pits were at, trying to look into the double doors, trying to get a look at the game, you know, and man, to see, you know, to see Paul play, man, you know, like pulling from the cowboy, man, shooting, and I mean, man, he was something to see, you know,
Right.
and
Yeah, he was definitely before his time. So
oh yeah, oh yeah.
cool. All right. So from there, like you said, man, based on that, man, you started gravitating towards basketball. So at that point, I guess coming into maybe middle school, like had you just stopped playing football altogether, or were you still kind of playing both?
I think I played sixth grade because if I'm not mistaken, you could still play um spar ball when you were 11, and I think I played one. I played um that was my last year playing football. I played um with a team. I don't know if you remember the Lakeshore Tornadoes.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up playing with them my sixth grade year, and you know I think we won it all that year. So
Okay.
and that was it. After that, I was basketball after that.
Okay. And so were you at Turner for starting in the
No,
six,
no,
seven?
I went to Bethune. Um,
Well, hold on
I,
now. Like Turner and Bethune ain't nowhere close to each other.
well, see,
So
my mom my mom worked for the school board, and
okay.
you know, so at that time, um, when I was at Turner, she was working at Turner, so I get up in the morning and would go to school with her.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
and all you needed was somebody's address. You know, my grandfather stayed at that time. My grandfather stayed in Treetops. I think I was using his address, and so I was going to school with my mom in the morning. So that's how I was able to go to Turner in elementary, and then but I
Well,
grew.
talk to me about this. Like, so how was that? Because I had a similar situation. How was that like, just like culture shock wise, coming from Turner to Bethune? Because you got two totally different neighborhoods now. So like, and even like totally different athletes also. So like, how was that moving from like a Turner to a Bethune, which is obviously Bethune is predominantly a black school. Turner was a mix.
Yeah,
So
believe it or not, man, it really wasn't because you gotta look at it. Around that time, there was still some whites, but Turner was on the verge of becoming
mhm,
predominantly. I mean, the whites were outnumbered. Um,
okay,
you know, and then the way it was set up, half of Motown went to Turner anyway. You know, certain parts of Motown went to Turner,
went to
and
Turner. Okay.
yeah, so um, then you had the Pines Road area,
Hmm.
La Tierra. You know, of course, you know they was on that little area was on the verge of you know going from suburb to taking this
Mixed. We'll say mixed.
yeah, and so man, it really wasn't, they had they so-called wannabe gang bangers, because at that time Shreveport was being heavily influenced by what was going on in California and stuff. So that's when
Hmm.
gang banging was kind of trying to take its form here in Shreveport and stuff. And so you had your wannabes at Turner, and then you had your wannabes at Bethune. You had more at Bethune because, like you said, it was predominantly black. Um, as far as sports went, um, man, Turner was as I recall, man, Turner was a beast. when it came to
Yeah.
football and basketball around
Yep.
that
They
time.
were. Hmm.
Yeah. Now Bethune was pretty good at basketball. Had some some pretty good players at Bethune as well. So um, I wound up playing against a lot of those guys in high school um, and things of that. So it
So
really
how was
wasn't.
that? How was that coming into Bethune? Like your sixth grade year though. Like so, you said that when you started at Bethune, like were you
Well,
like you said?
I didn't play basketball
Okay.
my sixth grade year. Actually, I didn't make the team. I tried out, but I didn't make the team my sixth grade year. Um, so going into my seventh grade year, I was at Bethune, and um, we wound up moving from from Moortown, and um, that's when we moved to the Meadows. And once we moved to the Meadows, of course, that was Hollywood's district. That was
Hmm.
Hollywood middle school district, and I was like, "Nah, I'm not going to Hollywood." And so I wanted to, I wound up going to Keyville. Um,
So you came in with the veto in your seventh grade year.
yeah. I ended up going to Keyville because, if you, how can I put it? If you understand the ways of the street and you able to and you're not naive and gullible, you understand the layout of certain neighborhoods if I'm making any sense.
Yeah. Oh
So
yeah. Yeah.
come
No.
yeah,
I got
so
you.
coming from Moortown Forest Oak area, and then calling myself going to Hollywood, and I know
Yeah.
and I'm like,
You.
man, I'm I'm gonna be,
Yeah. You're gonna be in trouble.
yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Right. I got you.
new kid on the block, and the question, hey man, where you from? Oh, so I was like, man, I ain't even finna go through all that. And so I winded up I winded up
No.
going to
No.
Keyville.
Smart move though. That
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah,
smart move.
not saying that I was scared or anything or nothing like that, but it's just the fact that, you know, I just I just knew at that time and what we were going through, because we even when I got to the Meadows, being new over there, and you would have people coming. I don't know if you remember Westwood Elementary, man.
Mhm.
We used to have so many people come over there and play basketball. It was outside court. Um,
Mhm.
but you would have run-ins with guys, man. And you would pretty much just have to go for go for what you knew. They'll try you because they didn't know you, and
Mhm.
you pretty much had to protect yourself. So I'm like, coming from where I grew up from, and then going to Hollywood, I was like, man, I'm probably gonna be fighting every day,
Right.
So I'm like, I might as well just go up here to Keyville, go out here to the country, go to Keyville, and you know, continue my education. So that's
Like
what I
was
decided.
that where you had an option to pick Keyville? Because like Keyville ain't close.
Well, they
Keyville
had
ain't close.
I don't know how, and I don't know how the system was set up, man. But for
Okay.
some reason, we had a bus that came right. We had a bus that came right there in front of the neighborhood and drove us all the way out to Keyville. So it was an option.
Okay.
Yeah. Didn't have to use nobody address or anything. I was able to go. I was able to go to Keyville from right there in the Meadows.
So how
Yeah.
was that going into Keyville? Because like you said, that's country.
Oh man, I tell you what, the school I had never. Well, Turner might have been similar as far as like the structure of the school, but Keyville was, from what I saw, was like a fairly new school. Like as far as the
Mhm.
structure, the way it was built, concrete, things of that nature. So that wasn't bad. But it was almost like going back 40, 50 years in time too.
Right.
Because uh, we were the minority at that school.
Mhm.
So that was the first time I actually experienced like racial tension and things of that nature at that school. So
Okay.
yeah. But
Wow. Huh.
other than that, it wasn't bad.
Okay. But so, did you start basketball seventh grade at Keyville, or how did that
Yes,
move forward?
yeah, yeah. Tried out, made the team, and from that point on, um, I started seventh and eighth grade year, and I've been playing basketball. Well, I have been playing basketball ever since then.
Mhm. So, was there any difference in the competition level coming from like a Bethune to Keyville?
Um, yeah, a little, but I also put in the work. I got better. I have to say, me myself, I got better with from my sixth grade to
Right.
the next year, which was of course seventh grade. Um, I got with my uncle, and man, we put over the summer and stuff. Man, we put in some work, and you know, like I said, I got better.
Right. Okay. So you kind of like you said, seventh, eighth grade year playing basketball in Keyville. Now over in the meadows, slotted to go to Southwood. Did you know other than like I said, what you saw, um, from obviously visiting, with your family members and based on Southwood. Did you know anything else about Southwood as far as like what it would look like when you were coming on campus? Because like you said, you had the crowds with the Paul Marshalls in those groups, but Paul was gone.
Right.
So you were coming on board, looking at a whole new regime, and did you have any anticipation or expectations like what your freshman year would look like?
Man, it was crazy because after my eighth grade, it might have been it was basketball was still it was basketball season. Um, and I met Coach Marlin. Um, I knew him because, like I said, my uncle and them played. He
Mm-hmm.
coached my uncles and them, and so I knew of him. But then I met him and actually talked to him at some point in time in my eighth grade year, and he invited me to a basketball game at Southwood. Um,
Hmm. Okay.
so yeah, he invited me, and this was, I think, Southwood played Huntington. My mom took me, dropped me off. Um, I went to the game. I sat behind um the varsity basketball team and things of that nature. And this is when they had, you know, once again they this was a good team they had. They had Tony Bryant. They had um um
Yeah. Pooh
they had
Davis,
Pooh. They had Pooh. They had Pat Dennis. They had Rodney Davidson. Man, they had I think Lil Robert was on the team. Rod
Winye.
Winye, Fernandez Dez was on the team still. So they had a hell of a team. And
Mm-hmm.
in this game they played against Huntington. This game was packed.
Pack.
You
Yeah.
know, um,
Yeah.
man, it was packed, and they had the music playing, and they running out, man, and the uniforms have changed, because my uncle and them was wearing them John Stocktons, they were wearing them little old bitty, you know, they were they were wearing them short shorts, man, and
Right.
by this time the uniforms had changed. They came out with the orange and blue jackets. You remember the jackets we used to
The
wear
jackets.
when we
Right.
yeah, little warm up jackets and stuff. They came out with them, and they had the new uniforms, or they had
Mm-hmm.
on something that was new to me, because what I remember was so, and I'm like, man, they had me hooked. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to, I
Yeah.
want to, I want to be a part of this program. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and that kind of coincides with the Fab Five when they kind of changed everything with the baggy
yeah,
shorts too. So that
yeah,
that was like probably 94, 95 ish. So yeah, no, that's right. That's right, lining up with that.
yeah.
Um, so where did you run into Coach Marlin? Was he at Keyville or?
Um, man, it might have been through, and I'm having. It might have been through AAU, me playing AAU, and
Okay.
was just kind of it was either AAU or my coach at
At Keyville.
Keyville. Yeah,
Okay.
just kind of and kind of making a name for myself. And I don't know if Coach Marlin reached out to him and was like, "Look, well, what do you have up there, or who do you have up there?"
Mhm.
And it kind of just went from there.
Right.
Yeah.
So, like you had mentioned earlier about AAU, like how did you get involved with playing AAU?
Um, man, I'm trying to remember because see, I played for a couple of teams. The very first AAU team I played for, um, we were the Shreveport. I can't think of the name. I think it was kind of like just word of mouth.
Hmm.
Somebody told my mom about it, and I went and
Okay.
tried out. Yeah, somebody told my mom about it, and I went and tried out. And we it was me. I don't know if you remember. There was another guy named Tremaine. He played. I think he wanted to be a very good wide receiver at Evangel. What was Tremaine's last name? He played basketball with me. Scotty Semo. He was a wide receiver at Loyola. He was playing ball with me on that team, and we used to go over to Parkway and play with this older AAU team um, that had like Terrence Dow and
Okay.
yeah. So that was my first taste of AAU. Um, and like I said, um, it was it was one of those things where I'm glad I experienced it because man, once you go down south and you start playing like in other states, at
Hmm.
that age you start competing and you get to see what other regions have to offer. So yeah, yeah,
Right. Yeah, it's well, and for people who don't understand, kind of like the AAU circuit, man, like it opens up like the competition level, like drastically. Like
yeah, yeah,
whatever you see in that city that you're playing in, if it's not a big city, so obviously Shreveport not a big city even at that time, as it relates to maybe a Baton Rouge or even a Dallas or a New Orleans, like. So, when you have that larger bucket of players, obviously you're gonna have a larger bucket of talent.
right,
So, I mean,
right,
you may have two or three good players on your team in Shreveport, but you go to Dallas, they're gonna have eight or nine good players on that
yeah,
team. So, you definitely have to step up your game, man. And then you get an opportunity to see where you stand on a bigger scale, also, man. Like you may dominate stuff in Shreveport, but you go to Dallas, you may not. That may not be the same situation out there.
right. And I remember the first time I think we played the New Orleans Magics or Louisiana Magics or something like that, man. But they were a team out of New Orleans, and man, these guys came in. They had to been sponsored by somebody, man. But they had like
Yeah.
they had Orlando like official Orlando Magic uniforms, man. They had bags. They all had on the same shoes, you know. And I think they might have been ranked at that time. They might have been ranked number one in the state, man. But they were dunking. I mean, this was like seventh to eighth grade. These cats already dunking.
Yeah.
And like I say, it'll definitely um it can make you or break you. You know,
Mm,
playing that at that level, to where if it motivated me to
mm,
like I'm like okay, I see where I'm at. I see where I need to be. Uh, and the next time, if we happen to run into these guys again, or if we come back down here, it's gonna be a different. It's gonna be a different story. So
right. Right.
yeah,
Okay. All right. So coming into this freshman year, so obviously you've seen a lot of stuff, man, that's coming out of Southwood as far as like the hype, the talent, the packed arenas. So tell me about that. You stepping on campus. I guess we can call it the campus. And what was your expectations coming into your freshman year?
Um, man, I didn't expect to play. I didn't expect to play varsity. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
uh, though I think our freshman year, man, they returned like they had at
Yeah,
least
that pretty much everybody. I think for
yeah,
the most
yeah,
part.
they returned everybody except maybe two two
Mm-hmm.
players, and so like varsity it was stacked. But it was an honor, and I definitely learned a lot watching those guys play. Um, so I came in playing freshman ball and
Mm-hmm.
JV, and I was cool. I was cool with that. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
knew I had to pay my dues. Um,
Right.
and like I said, I was cool with that, and it kind of still worked out because you know once they finished, we our program was starting over fresh.
Yeah.
We were young
Mm-hmm.
because um we lost Tony, we lost Pooh, we lost Pat, we lost Jeff Brooks, we lost Rodney, Winye, Brian
Mm-hmm.
Reeves. Man, the only people that we had that played varsity that was coming back was KP and Quay
No, I
and
think
K.
catfish. When catfish.
Yeah,
Okay.
and yeah, and Catfish. So um, and then what KP left and went to
Yeah.
Huntington.
Mm-hmm.
So now you just got Quay and Catfish, and then all the rest of us coming up from freshman JV.
Right.
So yeah.
So coming in that freshman year though, like when you were coming in, obviously trying out basketball practice, things of that nature. Like, did you see anything different competition wise coming into high school that you saw, in the eighth grade? Like, how did that pan out, like competition wise, like from your viewpoint?
Competition wise, it really didn't. I didn't see a difference because that same group that I played against in middle school, we just transitioned up. So I
Mm-hmm.
was pretty much playing against the same guys that I played against in middle school. Besides, I think at Fair Park, they had some because a lot of those guys came from Jazz Clark. Fair Park and BT, which we didn't play. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to play um, Jazz Clark while I was in middle school. So, but I did get a chance to play like Linwood. Linwood had like Charles Dotson and Eric Dotson, which
Hey man, don't forget Marvin Taylor was on that team.
oh, you were my
Don't get
bad,
me wrong.
my
Hey, don't get me wrong. I didn't play much, but I was actually close
oh
to Linwood,
okay.
so I was on.
My bad. I did
No, it's
not
all.
mean to, yeah. Yeah, man. So
Right.
cats like that. I played against Johnny and when we played against Midway, I played against him, which we ended up being teammates at Southwood along with you. Um, we played against Bethune. At that time, they had some real good players. Ken ended up playing with us at
Right.
Southwood.
Mhm.
Who else did we play? Played Walnut Hill. I really don't remember anybody that just stood out at Walnut Hill. Walnut Hill was pretty much football anyway. When it came back in that time, when it came to sports, Walnut
Right.
Hill was known for
Mhm.
football. Um, same thing with Ridgewood. They didn't really have anybody that did.
Yeah, mostly
Yeah,
football there too, Ridgewood.
yeah. So, like I said, but by the time we got as far as freshman ball, um, yeah, I didn't see anything different because I was playing against
Mhm.
the same group. Um,
Uh-uh.
but now when we played JV, I definitely reckon I could see the competition was a little bit was a little bit better because JV, of course, is a mixture of freshmen if you're good enough,
Mm-hmm.
all the way up to 11th grade.
Right.
If they want to use you on
Mm-hmm.
JV. So yeah, the competition was a little bit better
Okay.
than freshmen.
All right. So still looking at this freshman year, you mentioned earlier, like you had a stacked team for the varsity team. So, like, was there anything you learned from watching those guys? Like you said, there was some all city talent playing at multiple positions, man. All city, all district talent, man, throughout that whole roster. Even though some of them may not have got the accolades. So just watching them play, man, did you absorb anything being that close? I mean, because in the past, like you said, you were kind of just coming in watching games, got a chance to sit behind the bench. Now, like I said, you at school with those guys, man. You seeing those guys practice. You seeing those guys on a daily basis walking through the halls. You seeing how they putting together, the game plan and putting the work in and practice. Was it anything that you picked up from those guys during that year?
Man, just like I say, just seeing them guys for like Pooh to me, like I say, everybody knew Tony. You know,
Mm-hmm.
man, they go Tony Brown. When Southwood walked in the gym, you know, you could help it, man, Tony Brown. They go Tony Brown. But to me, and I don't know if it's because I was a guard,
Mm-hmm.
man, but Pooh stood out to me. You know, man, handles, could break anybody down, could get to the
Yep.
goal, had a shot. You played defense. So, man, I just I like Pooh, um, and just playing against them in practice, um, and as far as defense go and things like that, just you know. He used to embarrass us, man. But it just to be out there, like just to be out there, trying to. I look forward to trying to just make it hard for him.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because like I said, I was like, man, if I can make it hard for him, then I know I can make it hard for anybody else. So
Right.
yeah.
Right. Okay. So, and I guess this is part of my. So watching that team, and like you said, as good as they were, they they obviously fell significantly short of expectations that year.
Man, man, it was crazy because I mean, you were there, the you saw the same games I saw, man. I never would have thought. Uh, we played Fairport 3 times that year. Mollywopped them every time.
Every time.
Got to the playoffs, and I don't know. Well, I know what happened, but I know exactly what happened. But man, I still can't. To the day I can't believe it, man, because I foresaw those guys going to state. I just knew we were going to state. You know,
Yeah. No,
yeah.
no, I,
So
I would I'd agree because especially like I said, like you mentioned, to watch those guys up close like that. I think that season they only lost 3 games,
three
if I
games, man.
remember.
Two,
Uh,
two to Bird, and then that won the Fair Part.
right. So yeah, and see the talent, and like I said, those guys at that point they made a lot of stuff look easy to where later on we found out that it wasn't.
Exactly, exactly.
But a lot of stuff that they did, man, they made it look really easy. But to that point, man, once you get into that, it's not like it's the NBA where it's the best of 7. Like you get in one game, so anybody can be beat in one game, man. If you're not playing to your max potential, or if some other guy, man, plays bananas, which I think on the defensive end, I think Strohmeyer had a great game defensively that game, man. He played great, so I know that contributed to some of that. But to your point, there were some other things that didn't happen on Southwood's end as well, man. That kind of caused that to happen.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We and I would have to say that experiencing the 91 um 90, 91, 92 teams, and then like I say, experiencing Tony and Pooh and them on their way out, I would have to say that Southwood was good strictly based off of the talent that they had. Had nothing to do with coaching. Strictly, and I'm just
Well, yeah, and well, I was gonna get into coaching, but
yeah,
so
yeah, I got how they say you call a spade. Man, they had the talent, man, and they were good
Mhm.
based off of the talent that they had, man. But the coaching, and the only reason why I brought that up is because we're talking about the playoff game, and you know what went wrong, and it
Yeah,
was it was it was the coaching.
yeah,
Even the other two games they lost that year, Southwood dominated everybody that they played except Bird, and that's
yeah,
because Bird coach always outcoached our coach.
right,
Clinton always outcoached Marley. So yeah.
right. No, well, and that's a good point too. Um, so like I said, that season obviously ends early. So you kind of coming into your sophomore year. Like, do you think like, hey man, like you said, what you've seen in the 90, 91, 92, and then even like what you seeing now in 95, like I guess is your expectation like, man, we just gonna keep it rolling, or is you got like a totally different mindset on what needs to happen moving forward? Because like you said earlier, you losing a lot of players. So like you said, it's kind of like hitting the restart button. But even to your point, to some they had to hit a restart button from that 91 team also. So Southwood was still rolling, but like from your mindset, was you like, all right, well, it's time for us to take it over, and there's not going to be any drop off, or was you looking at like, man, there's a lot of folks just left. I don't know if we're going to be able to keep this thing going.
No, I definitely didn't think that because and I was up for the challenge. Um, you know, I think that we had the confidence, um, but we got the confidence from other places, if that makes sense. We didn't get the confidence from where we needed to get the confidence from, and that was from
Mm-hmm.
our coach. Um, but we got the confidence. Like from I can speak for myself. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
or my experience. My confidence came from playing outside of organized ball. Playing at the Ricks,
Mm-hmm.
uh, going to parks, and people like, man, who this youngster? Making a name for myself outside of organized ball. So that's where my confidence came from. Walking in the gym, and somebody's like, "Hey, I got Mar. Hey, we got Mario. I ain't even put my
Right.
shoes on yet." So that's where my confidence came from. But like I said, we being at how young we were, I feel like we should have got the confidence from our coach, and we didn't.
Right.
I didn't
Right.
see it.
Right.
I didn't see
Right.
it.
I got you. Well, I mean, even coming off that, man, you got to think a lot of fingers was being pointed in his direction after that season. So we don't, rightfully so.
but you know, I feel like looking back, um, and we talked about this earlier. I just feel like if I would have had somebody to take me, to take me and kind of like start prepping me for what was about to come, um, I think the outcome could have been totally different. You know, um, yeah, we just,
Right.
I
Needed
guess
some needed some additional direction.
right. Like I said, I get we were out, we were up for the challenge, but it took a little bit more than that. You know,
Mhm.
it took a little bit more than that, and um, you know, man, our practices were basic. You know, we the weight program. We
It
didn't have
was
a weight
yeah.
pro.
It
Yeah, we
wasn't
did.
no weight program.
Nah, we maxed out. We maxed out like at the beginning of the season, and that was it. you know, that was it. That was our weight program. So, and so I mean, it was just we could have been better prepared for that next season, and we weren't.
Right.
We weren't.
So, like I said, so starting in your sophomore year, man, did you set any expectations for yourself?
Oh yeah, of course. Like I said, I wanted to live up to the standard that was already set. Um, and in order to do that, I had to play well. So of course, I wanted to stand out. Especially playing varsity, I wanted to stand out, and I wanted to I wanted to be in the newspaper and things of that nature, and so um, uh,
Do you feel like you was given that opportunity to compete on the varsity level? As it relates to maybe some of the upperclassmen that was in front of you.
yeah, yeah. I was given a chance. And like I said, we were so young, man. We was kind of like, you know, and like I said, when we talked and said, KP left, it was
Mm-hmm.
like, man, now we really working with the, with the young fellas. We gotta. It was almost like, hey, you if you say you ready, here you go. Let's get to it. So, and I tell you, the game that really humbled me and was when we played Bird, because now Bird is what Southwood was our freshman year.
Yeah.
Bird is stacked. Bird got all the they got the upperclassmen. They've been there. They've done that. Man, they got the Mel Cawthorns and 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 Chris Rogers and Terrence Dow, and so they had several players that could go. And man, when we played them, man, they did not take it easy on us.
No,
And
not at all.
so that was a humbling experience, you know.
Right. Right. Okay. So, like you said, kind of as you coming into that year and going through that year, like, are you getting everything that you thought you would get as far as like playing time and opportunities? And the inverse of that, do you think like the rest of the team was responding that season as you may have wanted them to respond?
Um I believe I got the opportunity because you got I think we were young. I mean, golly, we as far as guards, man, it was me, Johnny, uh
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo, um me, Johnny, Lorenzo. That might have been
That might have been
that
it,
might have been
huh?
it. Yeah, that might have been it. You know. Well, no, I think by that time Troy had got there. Troy, because we're talking about our
Mm-hmm.
sophomore year. So Troy, I think Troy Howard was a
Okay.
freshman,
But
and
right.
so that's what I'm saying. Like we had guys that were freshmen now that had a
Mm-hmm.
chance to play varsity
And
because
Craig was
that's
there. What was Craig's name? Craig.
Craig Davis.
Yeah, he was
Craig,
on there for a short time, but
yeah,
I think he.
because Craig ended up leaving, going to Fair Park.
Right.
Yeah, so, but like I said, those guys were playing freshman ball, and they were dressed in varsity. Um, well, I know Craig, Troy, and I think Mario, Lorenzo, little brother, might have been playing varsity at that time
Okay.
too. So,
Mm-hmm.
man, we were young. We were
Right.
young.
All right. So as you're going through that season, man, and obviously taking the lumps, did uh did how do you think the team was responding? Like as far as like taking a lot of losses early on, and like you said, Southwood had this history of winning, and we were not experiencing that. Like, do you think like the team cared at all that they were losing games?
yeah, we cared. I know I cared. But I think that what we had was what was unique about our team is that we had cliques inside of our team,
Right.
and yeah, we had, and I don't know if it was like that on football, but on the football team, but we had cliques
It
inside of our
was.
team, and I think that didn't allow us to gel like we really were supposed to, or like we should have. Um, you know, because
Yeah.
of that. Yeah.
Okay. No, I understand. So if you could describe that season in one word, what do you think you would use as a word to describe that season?
Um, one word. The only thing I
One
can say
word.
is learning.
Learning. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would
It.
agree with that. That was
Yeah. That
yeah.
was a learning. That was a learning season. A learning. We learned from that, and we just didn't. I mean, that season wasn't a total loss, but when we played teams that were older, uh, had been there, it was known. It was known. So, but we had some good games. Everybody didn't put us over their knee and spank us. So we had some good games. Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Okay. So coming into your junior year, like you said, you kind of took that sophomore year as a learning year, and you coming into the junior year like, all right, well, we know what we need to do to be successful. It's time to really just put in the work and let it happen. So, do you feel like from your sophomore year to your junior year, like you were able to? Well, I'll say the team in general, and then I'll let you speak for yourself individually. Do you think the team in general put in the work to have a good year?
Yeah, I believe we did because I don't know if you remember. Summer League was at Huntington that year.
I
Summer
do.
League was at Huntington that year, man, and we made it to the championship in Summer League. We wanted to play in Fair Park in the championship in Summer League, and it ended up being, it was a good game. So we definitely felt like, okay, now we're here. We finna make some noise this year. So
Okay. So, but other than coming out and playing, did you change anything individually, like workout wise, preparation wise, coming into that year?
um I I mentioned my uncle. I think by
Mm-hmm.
this time he got a scholarship to UNO, um, and then he wound up transferring to East Texas. And I think he had, even though he was, um, I forgot how it worked. He had already graduated, but he still had some eligibility.
Okay.
So he was able to play basketball at East Texas. Um, and that summer, I went and stayed with him. He was rehabbing because he tore his ACL, and so I went and stayed out there in Marshall with him for the summer. And while he was rehabbing, man, we were working out and going through drills and things of that. He was putting me through drills during that summer. So yeah, I worked on my game
Hmm.
going into the next year. Yeah.
Okay. So as far as the team, so like you said, pretty young that sophomore year, coming into the junior year, you know, I wouldn't say it was a veteran team, but it was an experienced team.
Right. Right.
So definitely missed the playoffs by far that sophomore year. Like coming into the junior year, like did you kind of set expectations for to make the playoffs? Like did you have expectations for the team, and did you have individual expectations also?
Both. I had both. I definitely wanted to make the playoffs, and definitely wanted to stand out amongst who was who at Southwood. Um, excuse
Okay.
me. Of course we had Quay. I think this was This was Quay last year. This was his senior year, and he had already made a name for himself. Just off of season play, and AAU ball. So I definitely wanted to be up there as far as individual accolades. I definitely wanted to be mentioned when somebody started talking about, hey man, who they got at Southwood. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Like, so as far as just the team, man, like once you looked at the team from top to bottom, like you felt like they had the opportunity to compete, um, to win the district, go to the playoffs.
Yeah, like I said, man, when we played in summer league, man, we had a good summer. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and we ended up playing Fair Park in the championship. Um, if I'm not mistaken, I believe they did win. It was a real close game. Um, but we wound up playing them in the championship, and for it to be a summer league game, you know, Huntington had we had a crowd up in there for a
Yeah.
summer league game, so it was almost like season play, you
Mm-hmm.
know, the atmosphere,
Right.
you know, and man, we had some good plays in that game, some alley hoops, you know, some nice drives to the bucket. I had some good plays, and Quay, Johnny was playing awesome, man. So as far as team went, man, I think we had good expectations of doing pretty good that season.
Okay. So as the season starts, you get through about a quarter of the season. You know, some success, some failures. Like, do you think the team's playing together once the season actually starts?
Um, we we had our moments, but like I said, once again, we had we had the little cliques inside that kind of kept us, and I think that a lot of if you have a good coach, good staff, that type of stuff's supposed to be either weeded out or nipped in the butt, uh,
Right.
for the better of the team, you know. And if sometimes if you don't put a fire out, it can get out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it happened. I know you remember the little situations that we had amongst players and things of that nature and stuff. So um, certain people thinking that they deserve this, some certain people thinking that they're better than this and this. So
Yeah.
whenever you have um, that type of attitude or those type of attitudes amongst a team, it's not gonna. If the coach doesn't do what he's supposed to do, because we're young. We're
Yeah.
young. We're not going to take care. We're not going to take care of the situation on our own. You
Mm-hmm.
know, we
No,
my
well, no, and I get that, and I just go back to that point. I think every group, when you just look at a team and you look at leadership, is every team leads a little differently based on the leadership. Because, like I said, I mean, even if you look at that freshman, when we were freshmen with that team with Tony and Pooh, like it was understood, like Tony and Pooh, those guys were the leaders. I mean, even though Jeff had a strong personality, Pat had a strong personality. Everybody know, like if Tony said something, that was it. Like if he wanted to shut something down, that was it.
yeah
Um, and those were just different personalities, so they led differently. I think, like you said, to that point this year, like during your junior year, I think even though like you said, Quay was the blind for the best player, I still think when you look at it from a leadership dynamic, it was still a little muffled as far as like personalities and people, you know, not necessarily following the direction or what was best for the team, maybe what was best for themselves individually.
yeah.
And
I, I
like
think I
to
think I
go ahead.
think I think when Quinn spoke, I think that the team listened. Even though he didn't speak that much.
Right.
Um, as far as like grabbing the reins and taking control of the team. He had his moments where he would like you know I guess this is the word to use to get us in check.
Right, right.
Yeah. So and I think that for the most part because he didn't speak much. When he did, he got he got our attention. You know.
Hmm.
So
Right. Okay. So as that junior year ends, and obviously still didn't perform like the way maybe you anticipated initially. Like what kind of feelings are you got going on at that point? Because like you said earlier, that fire that was going on initially, if it didn't get put out, it was going to get out of hand. And I think to some degree that's kind of what happened a little bit, through the rest of the season.
yeah, we yeah, you're right, and like I say, man, I think not only because of that situation, I just think that a lot of us, including myself, sometimes, man, we just didn't have, we didn't, our minds weren't there all the time on what we needed to accomplish. We had so much stuff going on, you know, um, man, women,
Mm.
or
Right.
we trying to be the who's who of the school, and
Hmm.
we trying to be up in these young ladies' faces, and you know so we had a lot of other distractions going on besides just the inner turmoil um within the team, man. So you know
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I got it. And I guess even to that point, and that's nothing different than maybe any other team, or I guess maybe we're looking at that Tony Bryant team. It's just that they had so much more talent. They they were able to just overcome, because I could think like their second five. Most of those guys probably would have had a strong opportunity, if not all, to maybe start a lot of those teams that we were on. So,
Right.
uh, but no, okay. So
Well, now I don't know
I didn't say
because
not everybody, but
yeah,
some of them.
okay,
Not
yeah,
everybody.
because yeah, uh, because once you got past KP and Quay, you know, the bench kind of the bench was kind of
Right. Right.
well,
Now,
no, well, I
well, because
forgot.
like
Well, who? Okay, hold on, wait a minute. At that time, let's see, they had Pooh. I think it was Pooh, Pat, Rodney D, Winye, and Tony. Those that was the starting five, right?
hmm
And
yep,
then sometimes depending on what was going on, Jeff might start. Uh,
yeah,
yeah. So yeah, I did.
yeah. There was a drop off there. So yeah.
Yeah. So the besides, like I said, besides KP and Quay, the bench kind of got a little got a little sketchy. so yeah, so I don't know if the rest of them would have came in and started.
Okay.
So
So
yeah,
all right. So that junior ends, coming into your senior year, you lose. Obviously, like you said, one of your vocal leaders at times was Quentin, and then like you said, you had all city player with Quayshawn going out and leaving. So it was kind of that.
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo's gone. So you
Yeah,
lose a lot of leadership that you did have also, and a lot of production.
yeah.
Uh, so coming into that final season, like your senior year, like what was your expectations? Because like I said, there was a lot of shoes that needed to be filled as far as production wise. And I guess everybody probably had in their own minds on who was going to fill that production, who was going to be taking those shots that Quayshawn was taking. So, uh, what was your thought process coming into that year? And kind of like what I asked before, did you change anything training wise either?
Um, no, not by that time. No, I didn't change anything. But I did go into that. I did go into that season like, okay, um, it's our year, and when I mean our, I'm talking about the seniors. You
Hmm.
know, it's our time. So that was my mindset then.
Okay. Um, well, because like I say, what you experienced that freshman year with, a great team and making a playoff run, and then kind of missing the mark. The next few years, I know, like you said, coming into this last year, like man, well, I came here because of the success of Southwood, and now you're not necessarily have been experiencing that at least the last 2 years. Like so, like you said, you were saying like this is our year, but did you have any doubt that you guys could accomplish it based on some of the stuff that was going on the previous year, as far as some of the the issues and the clicks and things of that nature?
Um, no, because how can I, if you just look at citywide, um, you had a lot of talent that went on off to the collegiate level. You know, um, Fair Park lost Stroh. They
And
lost
red and red,
Reggie and
right,
Reggie. Yeah.
right.
Um, I'm trying to see Huntington really. Um, man, who was there? Who was at Huntington?
Was was Kevin there? Was KP there?
No, you know KP left after KP
Oh, that's
left
right.
after
That's right.
our junior year. No, he left after our sophomore year because
Okay.
he was a junior. He
Okay.
was a junior our freshman year.
Our freshman year. That's right.
Yeah, he was a junior our freshman year. So after he went to Huntington as a senior. So yeah, um, I didn't see anybody just like that we really had to worry about at Huntington. Um, I didn't see anybody we really had to worry about at Captain Shreve. Um, I'm trying to see
No,
Woodlawn.
nobody in Natchitoches.
No,
Well, Woodlawn
nobody.
had didn't they have Big Zach at Woodlawn?
Yeah, they had Big Zach. But other than and they had what's the boy but I don't even know if he was playing by then. I can't think of his name. He played. Um, why can I think of his name?
What school? What school was you talking about?
At Woodlawn, he was a guard.
Oh, okay.
I can't think of his name right now, but they had him and Zach, and then Bird. Bird just had a.
They were
They
just
didn't
well
have.
coached.
Yeah, they were real coach, man.
Yeah.
They had a system over there, man. You know, they
Right.
had a system over there. Um, and I think a lot of their kids at their particular year just bought into the system, you know.
Hmm.
But other than that, man, you know, it was wide open. It was ours for the taking.
Right. Well, and they
It
had
was
the
out.
well, and we didn't play them, but they had the kid over at Loyola also. Um,
Um,
well, I can't remember his name either. Nick Sinville, I think it was.
no, Nick graduated. No, Nick graduated with Quayshawn and them. He
Oh,
was
did okay.
yeah, Nick graduated. Now they had Zach Chambers. I don't know if you remember Zach. He was a
Mm,
guard. They had him, but but then Airline had Lawrence Atkins.
right. Okay.
Yeah, Airline had Lawrence Atkins. But like I say, at that time it was anybody. As far as the city went,
Mm,
it was anybody's for the taking.
right.
You
For
know,
the taking.
right?
Okay. So as that season gets off, man, what's your thoughts on how it started?
Um, man, that season was like a blur too. I really and like you said, you didn't play, so I can't
Mm-mm.
feed off of what you remember. Um, I don't even remember what our record was. I if I had anything to say about that season, I think individually I did pretty good individually. Um, Johnny,
So,
of course, Johnny that year he went off. Um, I think Johnny ended up making all city. Um, was he
yeah.
first team, second
Uh,
team?
I think he was second team, and I think Jason was first team all district, I believe, or
Jason,
second team. I think.
Jason
Wood.
Woods, really?
Mm-hmm.
Man,
I, th- I,
why is you? Huh? Oh, okay.
yeah, we'll have to holler at you, Jason. We'll get you on so to corroborate. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
he was first or second team all district, if I recall.
Oh, okay. Hey, I might have to go look. I might have to go. And you could be right. You could be
Mhm.
right. You the facts checker, man.
I'll make sure I get it corroborated, man, before I post it, right?
Oh yeah. But man, like I say, that it's I don't remember too much about that senior
Okay.
year, man. Be honest with
All
you.
right. All right.
I
Well,
don't know.
you know,
I don't know if it. By this time, I was kind of like, you know, um, I wouldn't say that I probably had enough. I probably had enough of just the system.
mm,
Because by the time I got to my senior year, man, I was just, I was just done with the coaching. Eh,
yeah.
I was done with the coaching, man. It was, you know,
Right. Yeah,
it was,
I understand.
yeah.
So as that year comes to an end, and obviously, like I say, not meeting expectations again, like what are your thoughts on like playing collegiate ball moving forward?
Um, man, believe it or not, I didn't really start thinking about college until Coach Daniels pulled me to the side and was asking me like, what's your plans from here?
Mm.
And he the one that kind of got me.
Well,
Um,
let me stop you there. So the head coach that you had been playing for 3 years, you had never had a conversation with him. The assistant coach that just showed up was the one that put you to the side. I just want to make sure I'm clear.
yeah, crystal clear, crystal clear. Yeah, uh, yeah, man.
Okay.
Coach Daniels, man. And and it was kind of crazy. Uh, I'm gonna tell you this here, like. Me and Johnny, I don't know if it was our senior year or our junior going into it. It was either our junior year going into our senior year or it was our senior year. Man, we got we got a letter from uh Southern. I think it was Southern Miss, man, and you know, Coach Daniels like brought a. And it kind of crazy because I'm like, man, how they hear about us, you know, and yeah, he brought the letter to me, and I filled out the information and stuff and sent it back to him and things. But like I said, I didn't have any plans at that time, man. I just hadn't. Now the summer of my sophomore year, going into our junior year, I went to a basketball camp. I know we backtracked, but we were just talking about
Mhm.
opportunities and stuff. But
Right, right.
I went to a basketball camp at LSU, and I think at this time what was his name? Was it John? I think John Brady was still the head coach, or
Okay,
Brady
yeah.
was.
Hmm.
I don't know if that was his first name. I knew his last name was Brady, but he was still the coach at LSU, right? And I don't know if you remember Running Prue.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah. Of course, Running was younger than us, so Running might have been a year behind us or whatever.
Hmm.
Man, but we're down there and we're at this camp and we have a tournament the last day. It was either the last 2 days or the last day of that camp. We had a tournament and me and Running was on the team. And once again, I was in my element, as far as playing basketball, and it's almost like being at the rec or
Right.
or
Right.
I don't have a coach calling a play. I don't have a man. We coming down. You know, it's organized, but man, we coming down. We pretty much they're watching us, and we just showing them what we can do. And me and Ronnie balled out, and it got in. And Brady came to me afterwards and was like, what school you go to? And I was like, I go to Southwood up in Shreveport or whatever the case. And he had came up there to they were trying to get Quayshawn that year, but Quayshawn ended up going to McNeese, so he was like, yeah, we came up there to see Nicholson. And I'm like, yeah, I was on his team. So just having this conversation with him after playing so well at down there at the LSU camp, I was like, man, I should hear something. They should at least I should be on their radar for next year. And they wound up um, firing him.
Right.
I think the next season or something like that. So
Mhm.
yeah, but
So how did you hear about the LSU camp? Was that just something you were searching out for, or something somebody brought to you?
um, somebody brought that to us. I don't remember who exactly it was. But I asked my mom could I go, and we were down there for a week. They dropped us off on a Monday and came back and picked us up like Friday night or something like that. And at this time Stroh was already down there. He had signed with them, so um, got a chance to hang out with him and stuff like that. There, he was
Mhm.
down there, and yeah, man, it
Did,
was
so those camps, like, and I'm just talking like every summer. Um, so like your head coach never pushed any camps you guys way, or recommended any camps for you guys to attend, or was it
no,
just
man.
always just summer league?
No, it was just summer league. It was just summer league. Like I said, if you had to make a name for yourself, at least at Southwood. I can't say what other programs were doing in the city, but I know at Southwood you had to make a name for yourself. That's why it was it was best for us to go to these camps, and it was best
Yeah.
for us to
Oh yeah.
to play AAU basketball because that was the only way we were going to get recognized. You know,
Mm.
like I said, I think the only person, even with all that talent that we had on the '95 team, there was only one person that went off to play basketball, and that was Pooh. Tony Tony had Tony had every Division I school trying to get him, but of course, his situation, you know, and maybe he can speak on that, if you can get him on here, but you know, um, I remember watching film, and man, and Coach Marley used to bring stacks of letters to Tony. You
Right.
know, from every Division I school you could think of, Duke, Tennessee, Kentucky, Maryland. Man,
Mhm.
he was getting recruited from all over, man. So,
Right.
but I say that to say, I said that to say this, out of that loaded team, only one person went to
Right.
school to play basketball, and that was Pooh.
Yeah. That's kind of crazy to think of. Well, and I know, Pat, he wasn't in it for basketball anyway. He got a scholarship. He
Right.
was in football.
Yeah, in football, yeah, but if we're talking strictly about basketball, yeah,
Basketball,
just
right?
yeah. So and then after that, the next person was they got I guess a meaningful scholarship. I mean, every scholarship counts, but you know
Mhm.
when you play sports, the there's certain types of scholarships. You got your big D1 schools, you got
Yeah.
JUCOs, you got smaller D1 schools. So I think Quay was the next one after that. You
Right.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, yeah, and like you said, he had options too. So
Right.
But like you said, not necessarily. You're saying not necessarily advocated or pushed by the head coach.
Oh,
It was. It
I
was.
know for a fact. I know for a fact it wasn't pushed by the head coach. Yeah.
uh, well, I guess another question is, I guess the players before, like your uncles, and you saw the Marshalls, and even with the Tonys, like they never provided any feedback to anybody else about maybe if they had any issues with the head coaches, but they maybe just felt like their talent would supersede that, um, as far as
But
them
but
having opportunities.
but why would they do that when I mean when the, he's allowing them to do whatever they want? You know, they he didn't say anything to Tony about nothing. You know how many times Tony quit and he begged Tony to come back? You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
Right. Well, and I'm
when
just saying, I'm just going from like just based on like your experiences, like you kind of mentioned like having these frustrations with the coaching. Like, was there ever a point where you thought like, well, maybe I should go somewhere else?
oh yeah, most definitely. But I mean, man, Southwood was just that was it was more than just basketball at Southwood, man. I had good times at Southwood. I had good
Mm-hmm.
friends. You know, me and you just joked about a situation, earlier, uh, that we were caught up in, man. But I had good times at Southwood, man. So it was just more than that. Like, um, at the time, Coach Jack, which was the head coach at Huntington, he was trying to get me to come to Huntington. So I mean, I could have went to Huntington because that's my mom's side of the family. They all went to Huntington, so I could have went to Huntington, but I was just like I said, man. I idolized my uncles and them, and by the time
Right.
I was like, man, I want to go where my uncle and them went. I want to go to Southwood, and by the time I got there, and like I said, I created my own friendships and bonds with people, and
Oh, and
you
you put in
know,
the work, like you put in
right.
work there. So
Right. So yeah. So it definitely made it. Those thoughts crossed my mind, but I knew I wasn't going. I wasn't going
Mhm.
anywhere. You know.
Right.
So
Okay. All right. So, like you said, you never even had thought about anything college until Coach Daniels had spoke to you about it. Like at that point, were you just like, "Nah, I'm done," or was that something that you started to consider after that?
um, man, something happened. Um, like I knew I had to take the ACT after talking to coach. Man, there was so much that I didn't know about college.
Hmm.
Man, I didn't.
That's everybody.
Right, man, and I didn't know anything about. Uh, I knew Grambling, I knew Southern, but at that time I didn't know. Even up until that point, I didn't know what Grambling and what Southern, um, as an institution, like what they were. You know, I didn't know I didn't know what a HBCU was until
Mhm.
you know I started talking to Coach Daniels. I didn't know what um, I would see videos with guys twirling like a rap video or
Right.
something. I see a rap video with somebody twirling a cane. I didn't know what a kappa was. I didn't know what the Divine Nine was. I didn't know anything about that stuff, and so all of that was new to me. And it wasn't until, like I say, I talked to Coach Daniels and stuff like that, and just being in his class. I started learning about. So I hurry up and signed up to take the ACT. I took the ACT,
So this was
and
what like when you say you hurry up to sign it up, like this is like I don't know, like
this was like the summer going into my senior year.
okay, all right,
Yeah, yeah, this is the summer. So I mean, like you know, by the time people get to senior year, they kind of know what
yeah,
they kind of know what they want to do. They kind of know if they're going to go to school, college. They kind of
hmm
know what college they want to go to. some of them had older brothers and sisters, and they want to go and be a delta. They want to be an alpha. They want to,
Right.
I just didn't, and I had family members that went to college and things of that nature, but I never conversated with them about,
Right.
you know, college life and things of that nature. So, um,
Well, and one of the running the things with everybody's like, you know, specifically for any kind of athlete that may potentially have the aspiration of playing in college, you would assume that you would have conversations with your head coach, um, with that, maybe not the whole team, but maybe that group of juniors and seniors. Like you would start to have some kind of conversations with those, and at very least, they would put you in a position if you did want to play to make sure that you took the right classes throughout the whole school year. Because I was talking to a few people who they graduated in the whole nine, and they got to college thinking they were going to play, and they were missing a class or two that they were supposed to have taken in high school. Like
wow,
there should be some kind of bridge there to where the coaches and the player and the guidance counselor set everybody up on the same page, and what you should be taking, what type of GPA you need to have, what you need to have on the ACT if you decide to play in college. And based on everybody I've spoken to so far, none of those conversations were even remotely had, other than one person. I think um, Jervis was the only person said that he had some kind of conversation as it relates to what he needed to do.
right, and
So
and that's sad. That and I don't even remember my counts. I don't even remember my counselors
no,
at
I
Southwood.
remember the junior counselor. I think it was Mr. Washington, and that's probably it.
Yeah,
And that's the
yeah,
only reason I remember him was only reason I remember him because I had driver's ed with him. So,
you know. So man, it kind of went, especially when we went to that 4x4. When we went to that 4x4
no,
plan,
the block schedule, right?
yeah, the block
Okay.
schedule, man, it was a blur.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
went by kind of fast after that,
yeah,
and you got your classes, you got your classes at the beginning of the year, and before you know it, man, like I remember, I was taking Spanish one, and this was like an elective that I decided to take my senior year, and I had already had, the way that block schedule was set up, I had all my credits before I had all my credits to graduate before the second semester even um
yeah.
or the second part of the school year even started.
Mhm.
So man, I kid you not, I forgot who the Spanish teacher was. I think he coached soccer too. What was his name? Um I can't think his name, but I believe he coached soccer as well. And I remember I went to him and I told him, I said, "Look, man, I'm gonna graduate without your class. Either way it go." I was like, you might well let me go down to the gym and play basketball." And man, you laughing? And I didn't even come to his class from that point on. I went to the gym and played basketball.
That doesn't surprise me. It's still funny, but it
Yeah,
don't surprise me at all.
yeah. So um yeah, man. But like I said, it went by kind of fast, man. And then
Mhm.
before I know it, something. I had a life changing experience that kind of uh, changed everything that I thought I was gonna do after high school, and that was my daughter being born. So um, once I found out I had a life coming into this world, like I said, it
Oh
changed.
yeah.
Yeah, it changed everything for me. So
Right,
yeah.
right. Gotcha. Okay. So yeah, so you still kind of you make a decision, like you said, had a life changing event with your daughter on the way. So you make a decision to go into the army. Like,
Well, not off the bat. Not
Okay.
I wound up um I wound up going to LSUS, and um if they would have had a basketball team then, I wish they would have. I know for a fact I would have made that team.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew, but they didn't have a basketball program at that time.
At that time,
Um,
they ended up picking.
yeah,
They picked one up a little later.
yeah, a little later. So
Mm,
I went to LSUS full time, and my stepfather got me on at General Electric, um, right out of high school full time. So
mm.
I'm working at General Electric full time and trying to go to school full time, and
Ooh.
yeah, I couldn't handle it. I couldn't I couldn't handle it. So man, I was working, like I said, I would work and then I would get off of work and try to go do homework, and I would
Mhm.
be in class falling asleep,
Falling
and
asleep. Yeah.
yeah, and it would be days I'm like, man, I'm just tired. I can't, I ain't even going to school. And I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, and that was a shock to me as well. Like, man, you mean to tell me I ain't got to go to class if I don't want to? You know, and uh,
Okay.
I would be in class and be like, man, you know what? I'm finna go.
I'm gonna
You
go.
I
Right.
ain't you
Just get
mean
up and go.
yeah. I remember the first time I walked out, I was like, I'm sitting up there like, okay, somebody finna call my name in a few seconds. Miss Lewis, where you going? I'm like, hold on. Anybody say I could just walk out, and so man, yeah, that year wasn't a good year as far as school went for me, because like I said, I just um my mindset was like, I know I probably could have went off to school, and my mom and my stepdad would have uh, took it on the responsibility of taking care of my daughter, but that's that just wasn't in me. I was like,
Right.
they didn't make her. Um, she didn't ask to be here. Uh, it's my responsibility. So
Right.
I tried to do the right thing by going to school, and like I said, but at the same time I tried to do both, and it just didn't work out. So um, I ended up pretty much dropping out, and I was still working at General Electric full time, and I did that all the way. I did that for 2 years. So I was at General Electric 2 years after I graduated from high school, and I just at that point in time I was at work one day, and something just hit me. I'm like, man, um, I hadn't seen anything really outside of Shreveport. Shreveport is all I know. Yeah, I've been to Houston a couple of times. I've been to Dallas a couple of times. Other than that, I hadn't seen anything, and I was ready to just get out of Shreveport, and I said I might as well join the military. It's a good source of income, and it's going to take me somewhere,
Right.
and that's
Yeah.
that's what I did. So I I joined the military, man, and went and to be all I could be. Yeah.
So how's your experience coming into that? Like, because like you said, you had. I don't know. Were you still kind of semi in shape at that point? Were you still playing basketball, or how
Oh yeah.
how
Oh
was that?
oh yes, man.
Mhm.
I went into the military. I was 150 some pounds. I was 150 some pounds. I did not realize I was that small, man. But you know, uh, yeah, I went into the military, and not knowing what to expect. I was excited. At the same time, nervous. And when I got to basic training, man, and got off of that bus, and man, them drill sergeants met us. Uh, I was like, okay, it got real. I said it got real. So man, had to go through basic training, and um, from there, from basic training, I went to airborne school. Um, so I jumped out of airplanes.
Okay.
Uh,
Wow.
Yeah, I jumped out of airplanes, and so once I went to airborne school, I went to I was stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, um, and shortly after that, I played basketball there.
Okay.
Um, man, being on a base or military post is almost like being on a campus, man. I kid you not. They're similar in so many ways. Cause you got dorms on a base,
Mhm.
just like well we call them barracks, but
Barracks, right.
they're dorms pretty much. Um, we got gyms all over the base or over the post, just like you would have on a pretty good
Yeah.
sized campus.
Like an
You got
intramural center, right.
right. So
Mhm.
you got young people all over, just getting into all kind of stuff. So it was funny, man, because um the first my first experience of playing basketball um in the military, they you're around in just like in college, you meet people from all over. So they think like, man, you from Louisiana, man, y'all can't do nothing. Y'all don't know nothing about no basketball.
Yep.
Especially somebody from up north like New York, Virginia
Hmm.
area. Oh man, you don't know about no. So
Yeah.
now I'm back in a setting that I'm comfortable with, that I'm familiar with, and it's like, okay, now it's time for me to show y'all what somebody from Louisiana can do. And I made a name for myself up there. Um, I had a chance to try out for the U.S. Army team.
Okay.
Um, we have we have a it's almost like a competition. It's called 82nd week, and we have competition between all the battalions in the 82nd division. So it's a bit like you got boxing, you got
Mhm.
basketball, you got um um at that time I guess you would call it was MMA back then, but you had MMA, you had um other little competitions and stuff. So we had a basketball team um that we put together for my battalion, and it was me. It was a guy from New Jersey, had another guy from like Indiana, and we had some other guys. But us three, we stood out, and we played, and we wound up winning the whole thing. So we had to go. We had to go down to Georgia to Fort Benning and play a team down there, and we went down there and played, and it ended up being a good game. We lost, but individually, I had a good game, and
Mhm.
this guy saw me and was like, he asked me, you know, um, how far did I go playing basketball, and I was like, well, I played all the way up into high school, and he was like, you ever heard of the U.S. Army team? And I'm like, nah. He was like, man, it's pretty much. Um, a team that the army puts together, and they go around playing like these big time exhibition games. Um, they might play against um, the Navy's team, or they might play against the Harlem Globetrotters, or they might stuff like that. And he was asking me, was I interested? And I told him, yeah. Um, but shortly after that, um, we deployed. We deployed to Iraq. That was 2000. I deployed to Iraq in February of 2003. So I talked to him maybe um, November of the previous year. And we were gone in February. So
Right.
Yeah.
So how was that getting deployed?
Um, it was I don't know. It was like one of them things where when you know how when you study for a test and you study, you studied and you put the time in. So it's like I know this test. That's
Hmm.
how it was being deployed. We trained and trained so much for deployment to where it was like we ready. And I know that's kind of naive and
Hmm.
big headed, but that was like the mind frame that we had. Like we've trained so much that whatever comes at us, we ready for it.
Right.
And
I think that's how they want it, where it to be muscle memory, to where you react. You didn't have to think about it.
yeah, right. So um, the first because we flew into Kuwait. We flew into Kuwait and then we drove into um Iraq. So the first couple of weeks we were in Kuwait for about 2 weeks. Um, our equipment and our trucks and all that stuff that was already there. It just took, I guess, it took 2 weeks for the higher ups, the big guys to get a game plan on what we were going to do, how we were going to do it. So we drove into Iraq, and man, the first city that we encounter was Asamoah, and that was kind of crazy because that was it was that little town was surrounded by like a landfill, and our mortar platoon, we were on the outskirts of the city, and our mortar platoon, shot mortars over into the town, for days. And our scout platoon went in and scouted the area and things like that. So we finally got the okay to go into the city, and we went in at night. So we had night vision goggles on and everything like that. So and this one particular night, you know, um, if I'm not mistaken, it's the if I'm saying it right, the Euphrates River.
Yeah,
It
that's right.
it it goes right. It goes down the middle of Samoa, and so the building that we were, I guess, what we were going to be staying in that night. I'm backing the Humvee up um, towards the building, and I got my night vision goggles on. And night vision goggles don't sit directly on your face. It's like a little gap in between your face and the actual cup of the
Hmm.
of the night vision goggles. So I could see out my peripheral. I could see like off in the distance. It was like somebody holding a candle up, so I could see a light. And so I'm backing up, trying to park the Humvee, and then I hear somebody say, you know, incoming, and I turn around and I can see is you don't supposed to look at light in the night vision goggles,
Yeah,
it'll
night
blind
vision goggles.
you.
Right.
Yeah. So that glare, they shot a RPG from over on the other side of the river towards us, and it was coming, and it went right down the side of the Humvee down into the alley, and it exploded or whatever. So we get out and return fire back
Hmm.
across the river, and from there, that's when everything just kind of went. That was the first moment. It was like, okay, now it done got real, or now it's time
Right.
to So we went from there. We took over Samoa, and then we went to Fallujah. Now Fallujah was a whole nother. Fallujah was like, I don't know, going to I guess going to Compton. they was on a whole nother level. Yeah. So man, we had to do that, and we we took them. You know, they just didn't lay down. I tell you like that. Fallujah didn't lay down. We it took us quite a uh, it took us a couple of days to overtake them. So and then from there we went to Baghdad. So we I was over there for um I want to say almost 14 months.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. We were the first wave to go in. So after the Air Force did their thing, we were in
Mm-hmm.
Kuwait watching the Air Force just bomb and bomb and bomb, and once the Air Force did their thing, we went right in after them. So yeah.
Okay. So you did your 14 months, came on in. Was that something you was like, all right, I've done what I needed to do. Now I'm out of here. As far as like,
Um.
as far as like reing up.
Well, it was time. They were trying to get me to re up, and while we was deployed, and I had intentions on doing it, and when we got back to the states, we were whenever you deploy like that for that length of time,
Mm-hmm.
your whole battalion goes on leave. So we had like 30 days to go wherever we wanted. A lot of people went home. A lot of people went, on vacation. So I I went to the islands, and then I also went back. I also came back to Shreveport. So I went to the islands with my friends. And like I said, I came back to Shreveport, and then I had a friend that was in the we call a pack office. That's like when orders come down, it comes to the pack office, and man, he called me and was like, "Dude, man, you won't believe this," and I'm like, "What?" He was like, "Man, we got orders to go to Afghanistan," and I'm like, "Man, we just got back." He was like, "Man, they not even finna unpack our stuff. They finna get ready to load it back up, and we going to Afghanistan." And that's when
Wow.
I'm like, man, I was like, I'm not gonna take too many more chances. I'm like, you know,
Right.
I was like, through the blessings of God, man, I was able to come back from this war. And now they finna get ready to send us to Afghanistan. I said, nah, I'm gone. so so
Right.
when I came back, it was time for me to, you know,
Realist.
w- it was either re-enlist or process out. You
Okay.
know, because we deployed, my term was almost over when we came back. My first contract was almost over when we came back.
So
So
how long
it
how
was
long did you sign with initially? Was it 2 years or 3 years or what?
three. It was three
Okay.
years. It was 3 years. So um, I left. I joined in 2001. I joined in 2001. I came back to Shreveport in 2004. So yeah, 3 years. But once again, if I would have had somebody that would have that could have mentored me,
Hmm.
even in my military career, I could have changed my MOS and went to another duty station and finished out my career, um
Hmm.
in the military, because like I would have I would have been retiring this year, if I would have
Okay.
stayed in. But I didn't, like I said, I didn't have anybody to
Right.
kind of like, hey, Lewis, man, instead of just getting out, why don't you change your MOS from this? Go be go to nurse, go become a nurse, or do something where you won't be getting deployed to these hostile environments,
Mhm.
and you know and then you
Well,
could pretty much
and for our non-military people, can you explain what MOS is? Because
you
they'll be like,
yeah
what is
your MOS is your job that you do in the military. So I was infantry, you know, frontline soldier. Um, so yeah, I could have went and did anything else, and probably wouldn't have got deployed as I was going to. Because like I say, we went we were gone 30 days on vacation and had already got orders to go to Afghanistan. So
Mhm.
and everybody knows it's they're in the same region, but it's Afghanistan and Iraq are two totally different monsters, you know.
Mhm.
So I was like, nah, I'm just gonna go on and gracefully bow out and come on home. Yeah. So
All right.
man,
Okay.
yeah, and I've been I've been here ever since, man. Like I said, we talked earlier, man, and I kind of I got out and um at that point when I came home, Shreveport was still booming when it came to like decent jobs. General Motors was still here.
Mhm.
Um, General Electric was still here. Um,
Libby
Goo
Glass.
Battery, yeah, Libby Glass, Goo Battery. Man, we had a lot of um, companies here, and I think General Motors had brought some other um, jobs here um, and stuff like that. So, man, I tried to get on at all those jobs. I tried to get on at KCS at that time, and then I'm like, man, I'm a whole um, veteran, man, and I
Mhm.
couldn't find work here to save my life,
Mm.
and
Wow.
yeah, I couldn't find work, man, and my my dad was like, man, why don't you try to be go to the sheriff's office? I'm like, I'm not trying to be no police, man,
Right.
so I put that off as long as I could, man, because I was still getting I was still getting a couple of checks from the military because I had vacation and stuff. So I was good. But then, like I said, time it came to the point to where I was like, okay, you still got a mouth to feed.
Mhm.
Um, you know, you need to go ahead and do what you got to do. And that's
Right.
when we talked about earlier. If I had to take care of mine, I would work uh,
Mhm.
at two fast food restaurants. So that's kind of what I said. You know what? I might not want to be the police, but man, this is the only thing I got on my table, on my plate right now, and I need to eat. So
Right.
yeah, that's what I ended up doing. And like I said, I was there for 8 years, and then one night, because I had went from the jail to patrol, so I had my own unit and things like that, and I was on the SRT team. I had made my way to the SRT. I was on the SWAT team and all this other kind of stuff. So uh, everything was on the up and up at the sheriff's office. And man, one day I was sitting at our substation and it was slow. And man, I filled out an application for KCS, and like within 24 hours, I got an email. Like,
Mm.
and I'm like, man,
Wow.
what am I? Yeah, I'm like, I didn't expect it. So you know. I'm at KCS now, so make a long story
Right.
short, I decided to go on and go to KCS, and that's where I'm at.
Right. Okay. So, what kind of advice would you give like a current basketball player in high school? Based on your experience.
Based on my experience, man, I would tell a young man or even a young lady if you want it, you have to put the time in, put in the time and the effort, and take what's yours. Um, but at the same time, leave yourself options. It's okay. It's okay not to make it. Um, get get your books, get your education, because I know plenty of people that are doing well outside of basketball. You know, I know we see these we watch ESPN and we have these alerts come across our phone of these people doing making these mega million contract deals and that's fine and dandy, more power to them, but um there are a lot of people out there that are living a good life without that type of money. And you know, like I say, if you're gonna do it, be all in, do what you can, and if you're able to make it that far, great. Um, Talking about the NBA, and if you're able to make it to college off of playing a sport, whether it's basketball or football, that's awesome. Use that to make yourself better in all aspects of life. Um, I say education is the key, and you can do and have whatever you want in life. It doesn't end when your basketball career ends. So
Right. Well, I think we talked a little bit off camera, and I think you mentioned that also when you were talking about just decisions and having a mentor. I think I can speak to that. You've spoken to it. I think we definitely understate or undervalue having somebody in your life that you'll listen to, and that's somebody that would actively pour into your life as far as giving you advice, sound advice, and like life changing decisions. Um, that you definitely need input as a young person, not having experience in a certain area. So I think
oh yeah,
definitely seeking out a mentor is important as also.
yeah, and man, when it comes, I'm always talking to um, young people, and like I said earlier, everybody's situation is different. Everybody's life story is different. Um, so if I'm talking to a young lady or a young man and they're interested in going to the military, I make sure I make sure that I tell them my experience. I give them advice. I give them input on the topic. I also let them know, like, if you have any questions, you can reach out to me. You know, uh, and the same thing with sports. When I'm talking to somebody and they're in the sports, I give them my insight. I give them my input on things. Um, and it's just something that people should be willing to do. We need to help or pick up our young people and steer them in the right directions, even if they're not our children.
Right.
It takes a village to raise a child. Um, and if I could give a young man or a young lady some wisdom on any topic, whether it's just life in general. Because like I said earlier, man, if I would have listened to half of the stuff my mom told me growing up, or people that just cared about me, if I would have listened to them instead of just ignoring them and going out there and bumping my head on my own, it would have saved me a lot of stress and heartache and hard times. So I'm always um, pouring knowledge into young kids today. So
Right. Right. Okay. And we talked a little bit off camera also, like, you know, obviously you were an athlete, played basketball, then kind of from there was into the military where you had to be in shape. So as you got out of the military, you kind of mentioned having, some struggles with your health. Like, why do you feel like that was important to get your health back on track?
um man, I think that goes back to having kids. Um I want to be here. I want to be here on this earth, and like I said, I know I don't have the say so on there. When God says it's my time, it's my time. But I'm gonna do my part to make sure that I um extend my life as long as I can. And if it takes me, uh, like I said, I was having problems with once I started gaining weight, and like I told you earlier, I think I got to like 230, 235, and I started having problems, health issues, acid reflux, sleep apnea, lower back pains. Um, I remember one summer my back went out, and I'm like,
Wow.
man, I'm like, man, I'm too young to be having these type of problems. And I knew what the problem was. It was because I had started gaining weight. And like I told you earlier, I just started running, and running led to me losing running led to me losing 30 pounds on my own. And then once I did that, I kind of got started training with a guy, and I ended up losing about 25 more pounds, 20 to 25 more pounds. And and then once I got down to there, I started training for I ran a half a marathon. And so I did that 2 years ago. And
But
of
was there
course,
was there something that I know you said you were having some health issues, but like a lot of people have health issues because of being having issues with their weight. Like what clicked with you to be like, all right, I need to do something about it? Because there's a lot of people out there right now that need to do something about it, but they're not. So
um I think just me being at work, like, I think the last thing that it kind of, I guess the straw that broke, I guess that's the right how they said, the straw that broke the camel back was um me being at work, and my back would be killing me,
mm,
and I would have to push through work, come home, put an ice pack on my back, put a heating pad on my back, and I'm like, man, and at this time I was like 30, I had to been 36, 37. I'm like, man, I'm still,
yeah,
I'm in my prime, man. I'm still young, and so that kind of is what made me realize, like, okay. And then on top of that, like, like the acid reflux and stuff, that was like really, um that was something that bothered me a lot. Um because if you don't get that under control, you that could also lead to cancer.
mm,
Um if you don't get that under control. And then, like I said, with the sleep apnea, I had to sleep with a machine.
yeah,
And I wasn't, I work with guys. I have people in my family that are, you know, way bigger than me, and they had sleep apnea. And I'm like, when I found out I had it, I'm like, I'm not that big. I'm like, so how can I have it? And they were like, yeah, you got it. So, I, like, just a combination of
they
all
said
that.
whether you believe it or not, you got it. So.
Yeah, right. Yes. So just a combination of all that, man. I just started, like I said, I started running, and it started in my neighborhood. I would just run around my neighborhood, man. And a lot of people, once I started like really just putting in the miles, like, people was like, man, how you run like that? And I'm like, I started out just like anybody else would. When I first
Mm,
started running, I would probably run a mile. I could probably just do a mile. And then a mile went to a mile and a half, and then to two. And I just started working my way up, and then before I knew it, I was running like 10 miles, you know, not, nonstop, no walking,
right.
no stopping,
Mm,
you know. But at that time I was training for that half marathon, and
right.
I didn't want to run the half marathon until it was time to run it, because I was like, if I knew I could do it, I thought that would have mentally
Yeah,
messed with
mentally,
me.
right.
Right. So I always like on the days when I ran long days, I would only do 10 miles. So when I went and ran that half marathon, when I got past 10 miles, I was like, okay, let's do it. This is gonna be the first time you actually done it. So I push myself like that. And so like where I'm at now, I changed up my training maybe like um a year, I'd say about a year ago. I started lifting heavy. So I put muscle mass back. I put muscle mass on. So I'm like at 200 right now. So I went from 170 something back up to like 200, and I've been at 200 since then. I'm thinking about going back down maybe to about 190 if I could
Okay.
lose 10 pounds, which I know I can. I think that'll be my comfortable weight.
Right. You like I said, you got
Yeah,
to find that nice balance that you're looking
yeah,
for.
yeah.
Okay. So can you tell me about this Super Mario that's over at Good Nutrition? What is that?
Well, man, man, good nutrition, man. Them my people over there, and when I started my I guess my journey on losing weight, they played a big part in that. Um, for people that don't know what good nutrition is, it's I guess like a Herbalife home base where you could go and they make protein shakes and energy juices strictly off of Herbalife products. And so I was going there, and they were like family. They are family um, to this day. Um, and they created uh, a energy tea. They created an energy tea and named it after me. So that's what the Super Mario is.
All right, right.
Yeah.
Shout out to Good Nutrition.
Oh yeah, man. Good nutrition. Look, if y'all I'm finna give them a little plug. If you're in the Shreveport Bossier area, man, and you looking for a shake or a tea, man, y'all holler it up at Good Nutrition. So
All right, good deal, man. All right, man. Let's get some quick hitters, man, and we can get you out of here.
okay.
So it's a tough one, man. I want you to think about this one. Who is the best or the top athlete to ever come out of the Meadows?
Oh man.
Don't say Renell Johnson. So
Oh man, best top athlete to come out of the Meadows. I can't get it to nobody.
okay.
I can't get it to nobody, man. We had,
No, nobody.
nah, I can't get it to nobody. Man, we had some
Okay.
man, we had some battles, man. We had some
Yeah.
battles in the
Oh.
in their neighborhood. And like I said, I mentioned Westwood Elementary. Man, we had people that used to come in, and we were young. We were young holding that park down.
Hmm.
But we had grown men coming to play us. Uh, we had people from all other neighborhoods coming, man, and we held that park down. We sure
Right.
did, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
just
No
got so
doubt.
I can't pick just one. Because we had Lorenzo, Mario, Lavelle.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, I think we were known for basketball in that neighborhood. I don't
In
think
that
we really
neighborhood.
had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Riddell
Definitely.
played. Riddell and his little brother, they played football.
Mhm.
Who else? Who else
But
played
let
football?
let Renell tell her he was a beast on the basketball court too. So
He could fill a spot. He could fill a spot. Yeah. Uh, yeah.
all
So
right.
yeah, I can't get
Hey,
it. Yeah.
understood. Understood. Okay. As far as like the NBA today, like, do you feel like the 3-point shot has diminished the game fundamentals wise?
Most definitely. Most
Yeah.
definitely. Because I come from an era and we come from an era man, seeing Shaq and Akeem and Patrick Ewing and uh, you know, man, just so many
Oh
big
yeah.
greats, man. Man, so
David
many.
Robinson,
Dave,
Olajuwon, right?
David
Yeah.
Robinson, man, even before we had a Dirk, we had a Rick Smith,
Yeah.
you know, Sean Kemp, man, we had some big time guys in the post, man, and believe it or not, man, I used to like letting you work out in that post, man. You had the frame for it. You had the frame for it, man. And once again, man, our plays were so basic, man. If we
Yeah.
would have we had some basic plays, um, but we
Yeah.
we yeah, that's we went not to go back on to the next.
All right. Who on your in your opinion, who's going to win the NBA championship next year? And was this season, in your opinion, cheapened due to all the injuries this year?
man, man, we've had some blockbuster deals take place in the last couple of days, man.
Yes,
Within the last
absolutely,
week,
absolutely. So
man. Mm, it's hard to look past what the Lakers got going on. You know,
yeah,
like I know those guys. I know everybody giving them a hard time about the age and stuff like that, man.
yeah,
But
yeah,
man, um, Carmelo averaged what 14, 15 last year.
yeah.
This
With
past, I mean, this past season.
this past year,
He-
yeah, with the Blazers,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I mean, he averaged 14, 15 points. I mean, that ain't trash.
No,
You
no,
know.
not at all. He can still
Yeah,
shoot. Now,
yeah.
no, defensive wise, that's a different conversation altogether.
Oh, yeah.
But
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
he
Yeah.
can put up some baskets.
Oh, yeah.
Put up,
Yeah. He can put up bats, but that this day and age, NBA ain't about defense.
yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So, um, unless you chasing somebody down, blocking it out the backboard,
Mm.
they like stuff like
Well,
that. But
and then he's not gonna be playing what? What is he gonna play? 15 minutes a game, maybe.
yeah, yeah,
Carmelo,
most
like
likely.
50, yeah,
Uh,
he's not gonna be playing a bunch of minutes anyway.
man, but I mean, it just depends, man. Davis injury prone, man.
Yeah,
Davis, I
absolutely.
don't, I don't think he's had a season where he wasn't injured.
But Westbrook is not. So
Yeah,
if somebody's probably gonna play all 82, it's gonna be him.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so could they have, just adding Westbrook, could they have beat Phoenix? I mean, that's debatable. It could have went either way.
yeah. It's definitely. But I tell you who was a disappointment to me, and I wish they would have got. I wish they would have sent him packing. And I'm not even a Lakers fan, but I'm just talking about Kuzma. He
Kuzma,
was a
yeah,
he was a big disappointment, man.
yeah, yeah. No, no,
He
I
because
agree with that.
he was a no show in a lot of them games that they needed him. You know.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, especially with Davis being out, that's he's next man up basically.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So
All right. So you are you
and
are you saying
go ahead. Go ahead.
Lakers winning it next year?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm saying the Lakers. I'm saying the Lakers. I'm saying the
All right.
Lakers.
And second part of that, like, what do you think about the Milwaukee Bucks? Do you think that was a justified championship due to all the injuries? I mean, either way it goes, they got it. And I
Yeah.
guess you kind
Yeah.
of look at
Yeah.
you kind of look at that with the Lakers the year before with the bubble. I mean, no matter
Uh,
what happens, they got it. So,
but injuries as far as
well, they end up beating Brooklyn with the two bet. Kyrie went out and James Harden was a shell of himself basically in Brooklyn. Like, do they beat Brooklyn and Brooklyn's 100%?
I can't say I can't just stamp it and say Oh yeah, they would have
Right.
beat them. They still, I think they still could have gotten them. You know, uh, but I don't know if Kyrie was 100% hurt. I think Kyrie had some mental stuff going on.
Possibly.
I
Absolutely.
yeah,
That's possible. That's possible.
yeah, I think
Hmm.
Kyrie kind of checked himself out of the game. You know, and I like Kyrie. I like Kyrie as a player, man. But as of lately, I don't think he's been mentally focused on the game and giving it the best that he can. I
Hmm.
think his head is in another space right now.
Hmm.
So,
And like I
um,
say, and that's on the East, but even in the West, like you said, LeBron was hampered, AD was out,
but
Kawhi basically tore his ACL, partially tore his ACL.
yeah, but
Um,
Phoenix took care of all them though.
yeah, well, I'm just saying, if they were healthy, does Phoenix even make it out?
Oh, okay. Oh, man, you know who? I think they wouldn't have got past the Clippers because the way Paul was balling, the way Paul
Yeah,
George was balling, I think any little help from and he got a lot of help from Jackson because
yeah.
I
Jackson was
didn't
he
yeah
stepped up big time. Yeah, he stepped
man
up
I
big
didn't yeah
time.
he stepped up big
Yeah,
time. He definitely
yeah.
feel he did the best he could to fill the
Hmm.
void of Leonard, man. But if Leonard would have been there, most definitely they would have beat Phoenix.
Well, that's say. Then you have Milwaukee versus Clippers, and who knows how that may turn out. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
well, and I guess that was my question. Like, just due to all the injuries, how do you look at Milwaukee's championship? Is it it is what it
Hey,
is?
it's part. Yeah, yeah. It's part of the game. It's
It's
part of
part
the
of the
game.
game, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
part of the game. So,
All right. And what are your thoughts on the quarterback situation in New Orleans?
man, I'm gonna keep hope alive, man. Oh, man, cause man, I've been a Saints fan since you know the Doom Squad, man. I've been a Saints fan since the early '90s. Uh, so man, I've been there through the bad, and I've been there through our good times. Um, and I've seen like these last little videos of Jameis. I wanna believe in him. I wanna believe in him, man. But he keep embarrassing not only himself but us at the same time. And you know, I want to believe in him, but we just gonna have to see it. The best man
Well,
gonna win. The best man will win, and that best man will be the starter. And whatever happens from there, hey, we just gonna have to adjust. Cause
right.
if one play piss poor, hey, the other one finna come in. So uh,
Well, and I think the Saints can win with either quarterback. Um, it's just I don't know how far they will be able to go into the playoffs with Jameis throwing interceptions, and Taysom. I just hadn't seen enough. Just that's just me
right,
personally.
yeah,
Um, and all that may come into fruition during the season with him getting the necessary reps. Jameis have a bunch of reps with Tampa. That's one thing he does have. He got a bunch of reps. Taysom, not so many.
yeah, yeah, and like the only thing I can think of, like when you think of Jameis, you like, he's proven that he can sling the ball. He threw for over 5,000 yards, but he still had 30 interceptions.
Yep.
You know, so I mean, he can distribute the ball. I tell you what's a big disappointment to me, and I feel what Sean Payton was saying. I can't I for the life of me I can't understand why Michael Thomas would decide to have surgery at the time that he decided to have. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
man, what I really think he's disgruntled. Um, and he's buying his time out. He really don't want to be there. Um, so because man,
that
who
that's
who
a big
does?
loss.
Yeah, I mean, and I hate that because the guy, he's one of the best at what he does, man. But you know, you decide you decide to have surgery a couple of weeks before training camp starts. You
Yeah,
had all this time to go have you know all what the Super Bowl is what in February,
February.
beginning
Yeah,
of
first.
February.
Yeah, no, normally the first
Well,
Sunday is
when
February.
when they was out of the playoffs, you had that
Hmm.
whole time, to go on and have the surgery. So I just don't understand. He yeah, I just don't get that, So,
Yeah, right.
but
All right. And last but not least, man, who would you like to see next on the podcast?
man, if you happen to go back to football, uh, man, like I said, Frank Frank G, maybe Dashawn, you know, uh, anybody from our era, our crew,
Okay.
99, man, anybody from our crew, you know, uh, I like to even see you get over into track, man, because we had some, they was it 99 or 98 when them boys broke the record with artists Redmond, Frank,
Yeah, I think it
Moo,
was
and
99. Yeah, that was
99.
99.
Who was
Yeah.
all on that relay? It
I,
was
yeah, I think he was right. It was artist Frank
Frank, Moo,
said.
and Moo
Yeah,
and
they
said,
said with him. Yep.
yeah, so if you start getting into the track, man, one of them guys, uh, basketball, oh man, we got so many, man. Like I say,
Yeah,
Tony,
we hadn't scratched the surface there yet. So
yeah, we got so many, Tony, Quay, but we talked about that, uh, Pooh, if you can find him, I don't even think Pooh on social media, man. Winye, uh, I know Winye, he ain't hard to find. Um, um, yeah, any one of them guys.
all right. So yeah, and we got some non-Southwood people I'm reaching out to too. So we'll get a couple of them on, and
Okay,
we'll make
okay.
it work, man.
And,
But no,
and, and
man.
I and I can definitely pass the word if you want. I mean, if you want to go as deep as 91, you know, I grew up with a lot of
Hey
those
man.
guys, man.
Hey man.
Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah,
Because
yeah.
their perspective will be totally different, man.
Oh
So
yeah, oh
yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
So
so I definitely get the word out, man, and let you know who's interested in doing it.
okay. Well, that'll work, man. But no, man. Thanks for your time, man. That was very insightful.
Oh yeah, man. Man, anytime, man. Look, man, it was uh, I'm glad you reached out to me, man. It was an honor. And it was just good talking to you. We could have been finished this up, man, but we was catching up, man, and I hadn't talked to you in years, man, and so
Right.
it was a pleasure doing that, man, and man, I love what you're doing, brother. Keep up the good work, man, and keep it going. Maybe this
All
can
right,
branch
man.
off. Maybe this can branch off into some totally different, into some. I love talking and spreading, knowledge and 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 just talking on all subjects of life, man. So if you ever need me to do anything else, man, just let me know.
All right. I'll definitely do that, man. I'll take you up on that. All right. Thank you for listening to the More Than Sports Podcast. Please like, subscribe, and set your notifications so you can be up to date on new content. Also, if you have a story you'd like to share, please reach out to us at mystory@morethansportspodcast.com.